mastery is just the same things over and over and over in time. And most people will never get the giant results they want because they're not doing the right things long enough and they're not mastering things enough.
The sexy stuff that you want is actually, you wanting the sexy stuff is actually distracting you from what it takes to get the sexy stuff.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear. It was last week's live podcast whilst we were in Florida. Today, for episode number 758, most people undervalue this so much.
Oh, yeah.
You like that intro?
It was very, very, very well done. You're a master of your craft.
I appreciate that. Is this your first podcast episode in your new home studio?
At Next Level University, yes, but I have been on other shows from this studio. So, yeah.
And I have a new setup with a new camera as well. I'll be doing my studio sometime next week, this week, I don't know. So what do people undervalue that they need more of, Alan? What is this episode about?
It's mastery. And the quote to kick us off here is basically, all of the things that you want in life are actually a byproduct of mastery. And I'll give you some examples. So the physique of your dreams is a byproduct of fitness mastery. Your dream home is probably a byproduct of financial mastery. Your dream car, your dream lifestyle, your dream partner, intimate partner, is actually a byproduct. Your dream relationship, I should say, is actually a byproduct of relationship mastery, communication, trust, relationship dynamics. So I had this quote running through my head earlier when I was actually, it's Emilia's birthday today. So happy birthday to my
happy birthday.
Girlfriend. Happy birthday to Emilia. Huge shout out on the podcast. And I'm making us a dinner tonight, a special dinner. And I'm no master chef. I'm no master cook. I'm at Walmart, and I'm driving home from Walmart I got all the stuff. And I had this quote going through my head while I was driving. And it's, the level of results that you get will never really exceed your level of understanding. And so, for example, if you don't have a deep understanding of how to create a dream physique, what calories are in what foods, what workouts to do, cardio versus weight training, foam rolling, mobility, pliability, you're not going to be able to create that dream physique. And I actually will tell a quick story about this. So I remember my ex-girlfriend's grandfather turned 90 years old. And what's the name of that restaurant in Milford that's on the lake? It's like really popular, Alicante or something like that?
Yes, Alicante.
Alicante's. It was there. And I remember we were at a round table. It was a very nice setting. And I remember I was hammering those Lindt chocolates. Those delicious round Lindt
Huge
chocolates.
fan.
Red ones, blue ones, all that. The blue ones are delicious. I was hammering them. I popped like 5 of them. And I was in really, really good shape then. I was, not saying that I'm not in good shape now, but I was a fitness coach and I was much more focused on fitness back then. And so I was lean. I was very, very lean. I was in a cut. And I was hammering these Lindt chocolates, and someone at the table literally said, "Alan, like, I don't understand. Like, you're into fitness. Like, you're hammering those chocolates. Those are like 200 calories a piece." And I'm like, "No, they're not." And they're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "At least 200 calories each." I said, "No, they're not." I said, "They're probably, I don't know, maybe 80. And then someone at the table literally looked it up online, and they're like, "Holy crap, 79 calories per." And they're like, "How did you know that?" And I kind of explained. I just said, "Well, the only reason why I'm able to look like this is because I know what calories are in what foods." And this is kind of the analogy. You're not going to go up to Steve Jobs, so RIP. You're not going to go up to Steve Jobs and start talking about integrated circuits and him go, "What's an integrated circuit?" Of course he knows what integrated circuits are. He's Steve Jobs. And so awareness comes first. Results come second, unless you get lucky, in which case that's a different story.
So you and I have had this conversation with a lot of people in group coaching where it's like, there's people who say like, I see myself doing this. I see myself on stages around the world. I see myself having one of the most successful podcasts. And it's like, I'm grateful and I'm happy that you have that level of belief in yourself, but like, you're not doing the right things to actually get that result. You're not mastering the things that need to get mastered. You've given 1 or 2 speeches in your life. You're not just going to get invited on stage in front of 20,000 people. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's the, like, what are you doing behind the scenes? What are you doing that nobody's seeing that's actually helping you to master? I was on a call the other day with somebody, one of my podcast clients, and I said, what is your podcast about in 10 words? And I said, this is what I think it is. Boom. And I just rattled off 10 words. And she's like, you're really good at that. Like, what, how did you get so good at taking something and just saying it so quickly? And I said, I've done 750 podcast episodes. And this is a hack. If you're a speaker, a podcaster, a communicator watching this or listening to this, every single day, if you follow me on social media, you know this, I do a video. I do a hook, story, lesson, future pace of our podcast episode, whatever it may be. And I try to do that every single day. That's the mastery aspect of it. If you look up to somebody because of their level of talent or skill or ability, they most likely have just been practicing it for longer than you. And there's just a long, long, long curve before you start to get any results. But it's the least sexy of, there's mastery, impact, and money. Like, money is the sexy one. Impact is this probably the second sexiest one. And then there's lonely mastery, but that really is the key to getting everything you want. Now, you and I had a very deep conversation before this because, okay, most people undervalue this because they see themselves in their future and they want to be on vacation and they want to have a nice house, like Alan was talking about, a nice car, in financial freedom. But the problem is those human needs that you want met aren't created by the human need of mastery, where you're delaying gratification constantly. You're like, mastery is just the same things over and over and over and time. And most people will never get the giant results they want because they're not doing the right things long enough and they're not mastering things enough.
Here's a wonderful example that you'll resonate with, Kev. So when we were at Influencer, we had Anthony Trucks on our podcast in our hotel room, and the next day at 9 a.m. he was stepping on stage. And the night before, we went to In-N-Out Burger, and he was doing his presentation, in the car on his phone on Keynote. And he got a standing ovation, and I believe he had the best speech there. And there was some heavy speakers. I mean, Eric Thomas was there, Brendan Burchard, obviously. Like, he was the best, I believe, and he got a standing ovation mid-speech, and he's the only one who did. And what a lot of people don't realize, and I was reading Anthony's book recently called Identity Shift, and he said what a lot of people don't see is that I did 3 years of a video on my Instagram or my story every single day for 3 years straight. So 365 times 3, that's over 1,000.
Yeah.
And so there was over 1,000 videos of Anthony talking to his camera phone long before he was any good at speaking. But if you saw him now on that Brendan Burchard stage, you'd be like, holy crap, he's an unbelievable speaker. Can you imagine 3 years in a row not missing a single video?
No, that's a lot.
Unreasonably hard to do that. Like, in theory, it sounds easy. I remember when I was like, yeah, I'm going to exercise every day for the rest of my life. Like, in theory, yeah, you can work out 45 minutes a day every day. In practice, it's unbelievably challenging. And so that's a good example is if you saw, if you picture yourself on stage in the future, but do you also picture doing 3 years straight, never missing a single video? And those two, one of them is not possible without the other. I shouldn't say it's not possible. It's not probable. And what Kevin and I really wanted to articulate on this episode is, if you want hashtag laptop lifestyle, we kept saying that in Florida, as kind of a joke, because those people that you see working on their laptop on the beach, I'm telling you right now that it's not them working on that laptop on the beach that created that lifestyle. It's usually a lot of years of grinding and working hard and I think the most important thing that we want to get across in this episode is like, okay, let's say you want to travel the world. let's say you want to be financially successful and wealthy. Let's say you want your dream physique. Let's say you want your dream relationship. What I'm saying is this: those things are a byproduct of mastery. Those things are a byproduct of you getting better at relationships, getting better at personal finances. So I'll use Kevin's example. So we are about to surpass $250,000 in gross annual revenue at Next Level University. Okay, awesome. Kevin tracks our finances every single day. See, tracking finances in a spreadsheet is not sexy. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It actually sucks. Luckily, Kevin does it. Okay. But having a $250,000 business, global business, is sexy. What I'm saying to everyone out there listening is what I've always wanted to say. The sexy stuff that you want is actually, you wanting the sexy stuff is actually distracting you from what it takes to get the sexy stuff. And I'll give you one more sort of example. If you're, I don't know, what's a good example of this? Okay, let's say I use Taylor Swift a lot. I'm just going to use Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift should be focused on getting better at singing and songwriting and guitar so that she shouldn't be out trying to chase parties. So, but she gets invited to the Grammys and then the Grammys after party because she was so focused on singing, songwriting, and performing and guitar. I just think it's important for everyone to understand what are the results in life that you want. What are the shiny objects that you really do want? And that's okay. I want shiny objects too. I want a big, beautiful home on the ocean. I want one lake house that also has mountains in the background. I do. But trust me, I'm not as focused on that as I am on my own personal mastery, my own personal growth, my own personal finances. You know, it's the mastery that's going to bring the amazing yacht that Emilia and I dream to have, which we will have one day, but it's going to be the mastery that allowed for the financial freedom that brought the yacht. It's not going to be us wanting the yacht that did it, you know? And I think that's really what I wanted to get across here is that people, I heard this recently and then I'll get off of this, but there's this person who interviewed me recently and he said this, and I never heard this said like this before. He said that champions are not built in public. They're just recognized there. I love that. Champions are not built in public. They are just recognized there. That's really what this episode is about from my perspective.
Hey everyone, I'm Helen Baker from Melbourne, Australia. I'm an entrepreneur and a client of Alan's from Next Level University. I've had many business coaches in the past, and I can honestly say that Alan is seriously next level, and excuse the pun, but he has this unique ability to help you find a solution to your business problems using his intellect and his business modeling and his genuine, heartfelt desire to help you achieve your goals. I can be vulnerable with Alan, I can share anything and feel comfortable in his presence, knowing that at the end of our coaching sessions, I feel empowered to do incredible things. So if you're looking for a business coach, I highly recommend Alan because his advice and his ability to coach you will be instrumental in achieving your success.
Well, and another thing too, and Dave, Uncle Dave Meltzer talks about this. Success is only 13 years, and the overnight success is only 13 years in the making, or something like that.
17, yeah, 17 years, yeah.
And it's like, you know, those 17 years are the mastery years. I mean, every year is a mastery year, right? But like somebody, you know, Taylor Swift, you've used this example before. She was playing guitar and singing for years and years and years before she ever made it.
Yeah.
And that's where the mastery was built. Obviously, she's continuing to hone that mastery, but you have to have an appreciation for what goes on behind the scenes, because it is what goes on behind the scenes that allows you to perform in front. It just is. Yep. And this is why if you're out there right now, messy action is more important than almost anything else for you, because you have to have some sort of feedback to go off of. Like Alan and I tonight, we record our episodes on Monday, as you know. Tonight, at 6 p.m. we have our live podcast. I think it's week 79.
79, yeah.
79. We have had so many opportunities to level up our mastery when it comes to live podcasting, because we just said, you know what, we're going to do this and we're going to keep doing this forever, because when we start something, we intend on doing it forever. How does somebody appreciate the pillar of mastery if they don't?
I think the first step is to make it a part of your identity.
How? What does that look like?
So from a super young age, I always considered myself someone who was really, really good at things. And so when I'm not good at things, it bothers me. And so that catalyzes me being good at things. And so how do you have to decide? You have to decide. Now, be careful with this, because if you decide to be good at everything, you'll end up mediocre at everything and not world-class at anything. And here's why, because I painted with Emilia her entire office with her, Amy and I. Amy helped because she had spent the night because we were doing business stuff, and then she had a wedding in the same town the next day. So Emilia and I are all painting her office yesterday. And I found myself having a really hard time doing a mediocre job. For some reason, for me personally, doing poor work or work of low standards or of low quality bothers me to my core. I can't even explain it. It's like I just don't feel, it's not fulfilling to me. Doing mediocre work based on my own standards is not fulfilling to me. You ever go to the gym, Kev, and it's like a crappy workout and you know you're not putting your effort in, you should be more focused. Like you don't feel good after that.
No.
That's what it is. I think that you have to decide. You just have to decide, like, oh, okay, if I want all these shiny, sexy, awesome things in my future, I'm going to have to fall in love with mastery. Let me make it a part of my identity. I'm going to be a master of cooking. I'm going to be a master of my own finances. I'm going to be a master of my own future. I'm going to be a master of whatever it is. For me, mastery has always been my core. Maximizing my potential and helping others do the same is my calling. And it's taken me, 32 years to really understand it at this level. But I'm not saying that's everyone else's core. I don't think that it is. But I do know that, like, you got to decide in advance. It's kind of like in high school, you were really, really good at baseball, but I don't think you decided in advance, I'm going to be the best at baseball. Whereas if you did, you probably would have ended up way better because you would have put more conscious effort towards getting better. Who knows? You could have been in the major leagues or something. So I think that's how you do it, is you decide. You just have to decide to value it more. And then when you get the benefits, that'll lock it in.
Yeah.
That'll lock it in. I mean, there's no question that my relationship with Emilia is this magnificent because of her and I's previous mastery. We didn't just find each other and everything worked. It's like her and I spent our entire life trying to figure this intimate relationship game out. And we now, luckily, we teach it to people, but we've been mastering it. I mean, she was in a relationship for 8 years trying to figure it out. I was in a 4-year relationship, 4.5-year relationship, a 2-year relationship, a 5-year relationship, and then another 2-year relationship. And I was failing forward and taking messy action and trying to figure it out. But every single time I failed forward, I went back to the drawing board and tried to figure out what happened. And that's a lot of what we teach, in our business together. So mastery needs to be something that you understand the value of in advance. Otherwise, you won't put the work in. Mastery is something that doesn't pay off until way later. That's what you have to understand. It doesn't pay off until way later.
And I think the other thing too, and it's our goal to, and the timer just went off, so we'll hop off here in a minute. But one of the things I'm learning is that people are, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm not saying, any of that, but people are trying to sell things based on you doing less than you have to. It would be very hard for me to sell you a program that is like work your face off for 16 hours a day or whatever. It's just not sexy. It's not going to sell. There's a reason it's 6-minute abs, not 6-year learn what you need to learn about nutrition, health, and fitness, and then get the body of your dreams. Like, it just wouldn't sell. Right. So I think that's an important understanding too of, like, if you look up to somebody who has a result that you desire or you're envious of or you're jealous of, whatever it may be, they just probably have mastered it more than you. And I think it's important to or they got lucky, obviously, but I think it's important to understand, like, unless they're teaching you how they mastered it, they're not helping you as much as you think.
Right.
And
100%.
and that's just super. It's just super important to understand that. I've bought programs before of like, oh, I'm going to learn something here, and it's like that's not that valuable. Especially like I've bought podcast programs, and knowing what I know as a podcaster, I learned very quickly like this isn't valuable. Maybe for somebody who's just starting, sure, but not for somebody who wants to have an excessive level of success like we do and impact, profitability, and mastery. So I think that's an important distinction too of unless somebody is teaching you the process of mastery within your thing, that advice probably isn't as valuable as you think it is.
Yeah, and this podcast is trying to teach you the mastery of how to be healthy, wealthy, and more in love. And the very last thing I'll say here, because we got to go, is Kev. I remember I said this to you 2 weeks ago. We had a really high ticket client opportunity for Next Level Podcast Solutions, and I said, Kev, don't sweat it, man. Like whether or not you get this client today has very little to do with what you do today.
Yeah.
It has to do with what you've mastered up to this point. And to really drive this point home, I said this. I said, if Bill Gates buys a yacht today, it has nothing to do with what he did today. It has to do with an accumulation of the mastery up to this point. And so everything's an accumulation. And I want our listeners to understand that. Like when Emilia and I got this home, it was our hard work paying off. The home was the least relevant part of what it took to get the home. You know what I mean? It was me calculating the probability of if we offer this amount, we have this chance of getting it. There's so many things behind the scenes. She was so resourceful. Like there was in her experience in real estate, and see, no one sees that, just see the home, right? So it's just remember that the shiny thing is the least relevant to what actually got the shiny thing.
Very valuable. It's hard. It's hard to explain. It's a hard concept to explain.
What would you tell Kevin before we go real quick? What would you tell Kevin back who didn't understand the value of mastery?
Honestly, the better you get, the more you can have. Genuinely, like that is a shift for me of if you want these things, you have to become capable. You have to be the type of person who's capable of getting them through getting better.
Yeah.
You make the all-star team because you've mastered your sport enough.
Right.
If you want to raise your prices, you practice mastery long enough where you can not only charge, but you can over-deliver on that price.
Yeah.
And most people aren't teaching that. Most people are saying like, well, just raise your prices. It's like, yeah, sure. I understand from a self-worth perspective. Awesome. Like you are worth more intrinsically. You're a very valuable human being, but your value in terms of what you can charge is based on the level of mastery you have in your back pocket.
It's fire.
It just is that way. And I think it's important. I think it's important to know that. I think it's important to know that because that's the truth. That's what people are paying for. They're paying for your mastery. They're paying for your knowledge. They're paying for the fact that you know more than they do. Your awareness is higher because you've done it for longer.
Yeah. When Kevin squats in the gym and it's like really impressive, you're not seeing him do mobility half hours of mobility every morning. Right. But yet you couldn't squat like that if you didn't.
No.
And that's the key. Very, very, very last thing. I know I said that before. It's very difficult. I said this to a client the other day. I said, there's nothing more frustrating than wanting extraordinary results without also wanting to become an extraordinary person. Extraordinary results are a byproduct of putting in the work to become extraordinary as a human being. And that's what we want to teach you at Next Level University. So
love it. Next Level Nation, if you are a podcaster and you want to grow your show, you want to scale, you want to monetize, please reach out to me. I have leaned 1,000% into podcast coaching and consulting. We have a bunch of clients we just signed. We won't be releasing any names yet, but I'm very excited to announce we have somebody amazing that's going to be working with us. But if you have a show and you want to grow it, I can definitely help because we're 750 episodes in. At this point, we have Jeffed forward many, many times, and we've been practicing mastery for the last 3.5 or 12 years, depending on if you ask Alan or myself.
It's
Alan,
4.5 years.
4.5, 5 years, 20 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Alan has leaned into next level business coaching. Alan, talk about that real quick.
Next level business coaching. So whether it's your career or your business, you still are running a business. If you want to be more successful, especially financially, I've got you, but not just successful, but also fulfilled. I'm going to help you align with your calling, find your genius zone, figure out where you're most marketable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to help you become more successful in every way.
Love it.
And that's what Next Level Business Solutions is all about.
And as always, if you are looking for a private group of like-minded individuals, in the show notes below, we have our link to Next Level Nation. I think we have 511 members or something like that. It's growing.
Yes, 511. Yeah.
Like
Strong word.
But I understand that it's difficult. I mean, if you were to go up to somebody and say, I'm going to be the best in the world at this in 5 years, they might call you crazy. In that group, that is what we're all there for. We're all there to get better, to support each other, to lift each other up, and understand that mastery is one of the keys to long-term success, profitability, and impact.
If you don't feel supported in your goals, that group is the place.
It is the place. Next Level Nation, we appreciate you as always. Tomorrow's episode is last week's live Q&A. How do you know if your fear is irrational? It's a great question, because many of our fears are. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.